Welcome to the Basemap webinar. This webinar looks at the issues facing education and school teams and councils. My name is Bernard Stebbing. I'm one of the account managers at Basemap. So this slide basically sets out the agenda for the webinar and gives us an understanding of some of the issues which I'm sure will resonate with you that you do face. First of all, the allocation of school bus passes, ensuring adequate bus routes to schools, obviously very important. The need to increase walking and cycling, reducing congestion around the schools and the associated carbon emissions. This is always a worry for head teachers, and there's been quite a lot in the press recently about the effects of emissions on school children's lungs. Improving and managing parking at schools, looking at new housing developments and the access they have to schools, and finally delivering a robust admissions and catchment process, which, as you know, is always an emotive subject. So if we look at traditional methods of mapping using straight line distances to look at travel, you can see here a 1 mile central point, a 1 mile radius around a central point in Southampton would look like this as the crow flies. And obviously this is not a good way of analysing, because you've got people walking across the River Itchen and through buildings and so on. So it's not a great way of looking at the 1 mile walking distance to the central point at all. So how could TRACC help to improve this situation? Now, TRACC's a desktop application, so it enables you to quickly and easily analyse multimodal travel times. So what does multimodal mean? So that means we bring in data on all modes of public transport, so that's buses, trains, ferries, in London the tube, obviously cars, and then at the moment we're very much promoting cycling and walking for sustainable travel. So where we differ from other products is that we allow you to be able to adjust the transport network. So you can add new roads or footpaths, adjust speeds, take out dangerous roads, or make routes non-walkable if needed. And we can also add in or edit the public transport network. So you can add new bus services for a new development and set out a potential timetable for that. Or these days, more likely, probably evaluate your subsidised services and work out which ones could be removed without doing too much damage to accessibility. So once you've done that, you can run the analysis in TRACC, and you get these outputs, which are provided on very easy to read maps. The one on the bottom left corner, that's a 10, 20, 30-minute walking map to a central site, and you can see the different colour contours there. The walking routes are shown in the brighter colours, and for example there on the purple route, it's rather a tortuous, I'll say, a route into the centre, and you could probably improve that by putting a little bridge across the river, and you could do a what-if analysis on that. So in addition to the maps, we also supply origin to destination time distance spreadsheets, so origin postcodes and address points. Then also origin to destination path reports, so that's a point-by-point report showing what services were used on the journey. Any mixture, as I say, of trains, buses, what bus it was caught, then how far is it to walk at the far end, and so on. You can underpin everything with demographic data reports, and then the catchment maps obviously show you which is the closest school using sustainable transport modes, and an example of one of those on the top right hand of the slide. So if we now run the same 1 mile walk analysis to our central point using TRACC, we get a different shape which takes up the contours of the River Itchen. Because you're members of the PSMA, you get really accurate data for free from Ordnance Survey, including the new Urban Paths network, and that shows you exactly where people can and can't walk. So we think it's key for you to utilize this data. And you can see the number of people is now who can actually get there within that area is now much reduced to only 15,000. But in reality, this is the true picture. So only a third of the number of people are now within the mile catchment. So, as we touched on earlier, one of the great advantages of TRACC is you can very quickly and easily monitor the effects of putting a new scheme in. So in this case, we could do a what-if scenario on putting a bridge across the river. And you can see both visually and also using the census data, you can get a numerical view of this change. So as you can see, the increase in the number there up to 18,000. So this is quick and easy to do. From the start to finish, these three outputs would take you less than an hour to complete. So, in looking at education departments, we're calculating the distance, and obviously there's boundaries such as a 2-kilometre walk from school might be important for a bus pass. Travel time to school using postcode data, catchment admission analysis, and the influence of such as rivers on the walk time. We're looking at the public transport access to the schools, the impact of service cuts, and improving pupil access to the school, the active travel aspect, reducing congestion, alternative parking. Actually, that's a point on the alternative parking. The reducing congestion using what's called ride and stride is becoming very popular, where people are being asked to park fairly well away from the school and then walk in the last piece to just to avoid the congestion actually at the school. And then finally looking at new developments and the access that they have to schools. So in this example from Staffordshire, we've got Staffordshire produced this lovely 10-minute walk zone leaflet which they gave out to all the parents with new kids just arriving at the primary school. They also did a 30-minute walk zone leaflet for secondary school pupils. Obviously they can walk a bit further. So these were given out, and it's very important at the very start of somebody's school life, because they do say that the journeys which are undertaken for the first few days become entrenched, and then they obviously are the routes which are taken for the next many years to come. And so if we can get into good habits at the start, they tend to stick. So these maps only took 5 to 10 minutes to create each one. They promote the benefits of walking. They've been very successful at reducing congestion. The alternative places to park and walk in are highlighted. And there's a nice quote from Sue Benton, the school travel advisor. And here's what the map on the flip side actually looks like. This is a walk into the Moorgate Primary Academy. You can see it's very nice and clear. People can see exactly what 10 minutes looks like. And here's another nice quote from Sue. And obviously they're really delighted with a 27% increase in sustainable travel. So further with Staffordshire, they were using TRACC for various purposes within the council. And in this case, they were using it to work out where housing should go. So this used TRACC to support district councils in delivering development in the most sustainable areas. So on this map, you can see public transport access to a hospital, in this case, bus and rail, on a Wednesday between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. And those travel time contours by 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, and then the draft residential allocations in that blue shading. So this shows the transport options and the requirements for the proposed locations, allowed them to test potential public transport improvements, new stops and services, TRACC offered the flexibility they needed to review the travel times across both urban and rural areas. You can use different settings, such as how far you allow people to walk to a bus stop, and you can provide robust evidence for accessibility proposals. So this feeds into the local development plan, and then they can say to their developer, your area is not near a bus stop, not accessible to a key site, and then get the developer to take a look at that and hopefully make some changes to it. They've used TRACC to successfully win funding from the DFT for new walking and cycling bridge connections, and they've received funding from the Sustainable Transport Fund and the Development Fund for that. So our next case study is this very successful and popular school, Kelvin Hall in Hull. Oversubscribed, as you might expect. They bought TRACC for their annual admissions calculation. So they calculated the shortest walking times with total accuracy. It gave them the option to allow a footbridge but to disallow dangerous roads. And so this created a fair and accurate process, which is very precise, and they can actually show parents how the decisions were arrived at, and therefore avoid the backlash which you can get with this very emotive subject. And there's a nice quote from the PA to the head teacher, which I'll allow you to read. So to summarise how TRACC can help you, it obviously saves time, it's very easy to use. It's designed with the look and feel of an office application, not a GIS tool. It feeds in detailed census information, so it gives you accurate demographic reporting. It's flexible, you can load in your own data sets and edit the data. It helps with fair and accurate admissions, as we've seen, assists with pressure on parking and congestion. It encourages active travel. It's been very successful using those handouts which we saw. It can be used across the multiple council departments, particularly education, transportation and healthcare. And it's a desktop application which enables you to take control of your own analysis. So you get accurate and reliable results without having to outsource this to consultants, and obviously which would cost money. So that's a flavour of what TRACC can do in the education market. There's lots more on our website. The case studies can be downloaded as PDFs or viewed on the website. Feel free to go onto the sales contact there for any further information. So all that remains is for me to thank you for your time, and I hope you found the webinar useful. Thank you, bye.